You've been stabbed, smashed, broken by waves, slapped by slimy tentacles, zapped and melted by some sort of Cyclops-esque Marvel move. You have died, and probably more than once, to Lagon, God of the Sea, Storms, and Moon in last Epoch. So what are you doing? Use the save spots. You know, the ones on both the left and right side of phases 1 and 3. Verticality is your friend, and even more so if you're playing a ranged build. The easiest move to recognize is the large circle on the ground, but you'll also notice Lagon lifts his head up very high in the screen while doing this move. The circle is going to explode, so get out of it. Lagon's right claw, which will be on the left side of the screen, is the stab, and you'll notice he rears back before plunging forward with it. Simply keep moving to avoid this attack. When Lagon's eye and front tentacles lower below the altar, he'll pop back up and do a zap. When Lagon's left claw, which will be on the right side of the screen, quickly rises up, he'll slam it down, and this ability can stun you. There's really a common theme here. Move to avoid damage, and that's where the trouble sets in, because if you aren't paying attention to where you move, and when Lagon does his final ability, the Moonbeam, the fight might end unfavorably in an instant. Lagon will slowly raise his eye, and at first it'll be difficult to distinguish it from the AoE circle move. However, it's a bit slower and doesn't raise up quite as high. Lagon's eye will also turn red during this time, and following that, he'll sweep the screen in a direction with the Moonbeam. You can teleport beyond this, but walking through or jumping will likely result in death. Use the safe spots as needed, or use windows of opportunity while learning to fight. Positioning yourself in a spot that allows you to move when this ability comes is imperative. If you've trapped yourself at an edge, your chances of success plummet unless you're comfortable with mastering this move. Around 50% health, Lagon will teleport you into phase 2, and tentacles will spawn around the center of the arena. You'll need to kill these tentacles while avoiding the waves coming across the screen. It's far easier to pick one direction, whether that's clockwise or counterclockwise. If you're attempting to weave around, you'll likely get hit by far more waves. So just pick a direction and keep trying to move that way while avoiding the waves that are in your path. You'll be chased by crabs and sharks during this time, but overall, this is the easiest phase. Phase 3 will port you back to the altar, and all of the original abilities from Phase 1 return, with the addition of the waves that you just saw in Phase 2. At this point, standing at the far edges can help you avoid some of these waves, but be careful you don't get clipped by the Moonbeam. If you're still uncomfortable with recognizing this ability, you can stand in the safe spot until the Moonbeam goes by, and then you can go out and use a window of opportunity to deal damage before retreating when you think he's going to use the ability again. This fight takes practice, and it's one of those encounters that will eventually just click, and you'll start beating it consistently at that point. Lagon primarily deals lightning and cold damage with some physical damage mixed in. Capping these resists or getting as close as you can will aid in your survival. Consider swapping passive points, gear, or idols to increase these resists just for the fight if needed. It's also important to note that you can acquire all the passive point and idol slot rewards prior to this point in the main story. So if you continue to struggle, move on to the endgame by porting to the end of time and simply waltzing into the monoliths on the right side. Come back later and complete it when the character is stronger. There's no shame in this, and it's a very popular hardcore tactic. Your health pool is also important, especially as you progress towards the end game. It's regarded as one of the best stats to increase overall, and this might be a wake-up call if you have 300 health at Lagon. Lagon himself can't be targeted. You'll deal damage by attacking the two tentacles on either side of the screen. As always, thanks for taking the time to watch, and have a great day.